frustrations and just feel so inadequate sometimes about what we're doing. And I have come here time and time and time again and suggested the answer to our problems is not located in a hotel room, in a ballroom, or any hotel in Washington or up in the halls of Congress. What we've got to face is reality. People are not paying enough attention to us. And what we've got to do is be about the business of making them pay attention to us. Franklin Roosevelt told the labor movement back in the 30s, he said, "You have got to make me do what you want me to do. If you don't make me do what you want me to do, I'm not going to do it." And what he meant by that was, we had to convince Congress and the American people that we were right. I think it's about the business we start making all of these politicians who we help get elected start listening to us. I would like to tell this story, and I know that most of you know it, but I'd like to take a moment to tell you what I believe has been a success, not for the mine workers, not for me, but for the American workers in this country. We've seen these bankruptcies over and over and over and over again. We all know that Peabody and Arch are two of the largest coal companies in the world. Peabody is the largest coal company in the world. They spun Patriot off, and then Patriot did all right for a few years when coal prices were up here. But then when the coal prices dropped, they could not pay the bills that they had, most of which were our retirees that never worked a day in their lives for Peabody. For Patriot. They worked for Peabody and they worked for Arch. Whenever Patriot filed for bankruptcy, this is what we said. Sitting around a big conference table in my office, I said, "Look, they might get these pensioners health care, but by hell they're going to have to take it. We're not going to let them walk in there and get it out of their pockets. They're going to get up and down this fight they've ever seen." So what we did, first of all, we had a meeting in Evansville, Indiana with all the retirees in that area. We had 3,000 retirees show up for that meeting, and we told them the situation that they found themselves in. We went to Charleston 2 days later and had 3,000 people there. We moved up to New York to try to get that bankruptcy proceedings moved out of the New York court. Somewhere down in the coal fields, we would have preferred West Virginia. But we got to move to St. Louis, and that was very significant because our people could get on the buses and get in their cars and make their way to St. Louis for these rallies. When we first started rallying in St. Louis, our very first rally, there was nobody there but the United Mine Workers of America and CBTU, the Coalition of Black Trade Unions. You can see where this is going. We need coalitions with our brothers and sisters in the civil rights movement. As this went on, the NAACP stepped up and joined with us. The AFL-CIO Institute joined with us. So now you've got the civil rights movement and the labor movement working together. Then we have every single union in this area stand and fight in solidarity and unity with the United Mine Workers side by side. Then we were able to say to our people that we have to have God on our side in this fight. We need every church in this country, small church, large church, every denomination praying for us and standing with us. And it wasn't long before we had Baptist ministers and Catholic priests and Episcopalians standing out there with us and praying as they got arrested and climbed in the back of those paddy wagons with civil rights leaders and union leaders and church leaders from other denominations. And pretty soon we had a coalition along with our friends from Jobs with Justice, and across this country people started paying attention to this. We bought time on TV, radio, newspapers, and we told this story. And the story we told was one of truth. And this was a right and wrong issue. The old labor song, which side are you on? Which side are you on? Who could stand with multi-billionaire corporations and watch coal miners that you heard come up here and say a prayer tonight who need that health care to live? This was a life and death situation. People were giving the last while this struggle was ongoing. Baptist ministers came in and Methodist ministers and prayed with our retirees as they were dying. The one thing that rich folks can't stand, our members at one time in their life are just as good and have just as good a coverage as those rich people. We've got the best health care in the world in the UMWA, and we'll fight the people. So there's a story here to be told. I talked to Barry and others about this, and when we gather people up, and I'm going to ask you tonight, and this takes all of us, and it's going to start from the top. And a question I always ask people, are you really on fire for the labor movement in this country? And I want you to think what you stand for. You stand for the protection of Medicare. You stand for the protection of Social Security. You stand for the living wage in this country, not the minimum wage. We need a living wage in the United States of America. And let me tell you something. This debate is ongoing about people saying Obamacare is not working. Let me tell you what you need in this country. You need national single payer Medicare. On July the 4th, and Cecil, as many of you know, is one of the greatest leaders we ever had, particularly the farm workers and the poor folks in this country. And he stood down in southwestern Virginia with the coal miners on strike and Piston, and this is what he said. He said, "Non-violence brings people to your struggle. Violence pushes people away." And let me tell you what I think we need to do. We need to copy what happened in the civil rights movement. We need to copy what happened in the farm workers movement. We need to copy what Gandhi did. We need to copy what Jesus did. And I submit to you, if enough of us get together, and enough of us stick together, and enough of us march together, these politicians who take $1 billion from these corporations at Wall Street, this will be the answer, and this will be the response that we can use to shut this country down if we need to do it. I was given an award by the CBTU 2 weeks ago. That award should have gone to every coal miner that participated, and it's not to me. But you can't give thousands of awards out, can you? And there was a very elderly black gentleman introduced me there. He must have been in his 80s. When it was over, I'm standing around the table, just me and him, and one or two other people. Please forgive the language, because this is what he said. He said, "Who's bullshitting who here? When it takes $1 billion to get elected, it doesn't make any difference if the president's a Democrat or a Republican. Who's going to listen to them when the phone call comes in? Is it going to be the working people, or is it going to be Wall Street?" We've got to fight back and have a plan to deal with this money that's been thrown into politics. Until we get that answer, we are in trouble here, brothers and sisters. We're in big trouble, but we know that, and it's time for us to stand up and fight back. You know, sometimes, let me tell you what happened when we first started this last effort. I said we're going to go to jail like we did at Piston 20-some years ago. We're going to block the roads, we're going to block the entrances, and we're going to use nonviolence. And we're all a little bit older than we were 20-some years ago. A friend of mine looked me dead in the eye and said, "Cecil, are we getting a little old for this?" I said, "There's a bright side to this." I said, "Just think with me a Look how old